Alright, a double Hearthstone upload today. I already uploaded a deck, the Ultimate Stall deck. And now we got the Nerfs. I didn't know the Nerfs was coming today. I thought they were going to be coming tomorrow, but I should have just waited. Instead of making that deck earlier, I should have just waited to the Nerfs. But, oh well. Let's go over them now. So Sanguine Infestation, it's going to 5 mana from 4 mana. That's a pretty big hit. 1 mana, adding 1 mana actually does make a difference. But this card will obviously still see play because it, like, Leech DK is a very powerful deck. And it now curbs into Husk anyway, so yeah, you can just play this on 5, Sanguine Infestation on 5, and Hideous Husk on 6. And yeah. So the nerf won't really matter too much, but it might lower the win rate of Death Knight, but they'll still run the card. Now the next nerf is Corpsicle from 2 mana to 3. This won't make as much of a difference because of the fact that once you get the quest active, because that's the deck you run this card in, you run it in Quest Warlock, which also got nerfed as well. But the reason this doesn't matter as much is because when you typically use Corpsicle, you usually have a lot of mana anyway. So you don't usually use it early, you know. You never use Corpsicle early. Unless you desperately have to clear something, you know. Typically you want to build up your corpses and then in the late game use it. So it doesn't really matter that much for that card in particular. Next up we have Battle Fiend, which goes from 3 health to 2 health. So there's been a lot of history with Battle Fiend over the years. It started as a 2/2 back in the Ashes of Outland expansion. They eventually had to nerf it to a 1/2. Then it came back into the core set, and when it got brought back into the core set, they made it a 1/3. And now it's finally going back to a 1/2. Next up we have a Sparkling File, which only sees play in that Owl deck, which I don't think I've ever even dueled against it, and I haven't played it myself either, so I don't really know what it does, so I'm just going to skip over that one. Maybe the nerf will matter, I don't know. You guys will have to let me know about that one, because I'm not really sure. Next up we have RC Rampage, which you may not think this is much of a nerf, because it's still a powerful card, right? It's a very substantial nerf because before you'd go RC Rampage on turn 4, and then turn 5 you'd play Dinomancy. Now you have to do this on 5, and then Dinomancy on 6. So then you're floating a mana, unless you have a 1 mana card. So it's actually a pretty substantial nerf. I never had an issue with that card. I don't even know why they nerfed it. I'm a control player, so I can clear, you know, the hounds pretty easily, so I never had an issue with the card. But apparently other people did. I don't know. Just in perspective with me, I don't have an issue with any card, except for cards that OTK. That's the only cards I have an issue with. Alright, next up we have Dive in the Glacadefs. Got nerfed from 5 to 6. That's going to slow it down quite a lot, actually. So each step of the quest is going to require 1 extra Murloc. So that's a pretty huge nerf to the card. In fact, it used to be 6, but before the expansion came out, they buffed it to a 5 before the expansion came out. It was 6 before the expansion, and then just before the expansion dropped, they buffed it to 5. So that means that they tested this at 6 and it wasn't very good. And they felt like it needed a buff. So, yeah. I don't think this is going to make it anymore. I think Murlocs is officially dead. Next up we have, speaking of dead, we have Holy Wrath, which got changed to can only hit minion now instead of going face. Now you still OTK with this with Silas, Ash Tongue. You know, you give your opponent Ash Tongue, and then you Holy Wrath. You hit the Ash Tongue and then you win, right? But that's stupid. That's not going to work out very well. So that deck is dead, basically. Holy Wrath Paladin's dead. The whole Silas Ash Tongue thing is a meme. Next up we have Resuscitate, which got nerfed to 6 mana. I did have an issue with this card because it's insane in Protoss Priest. So I'm glad that got nerfed. That card's trash. I really hate Protoss Priest a lot. Sandbox Scoundrel. I kind of like the card. I never really felt like it was that bad. But it got nerfed to reduce card by 3 to now 2. The mini gets reduced. Mini gets down by 2 as well. Goes down to 2 as well. So that's a pretty huge nerf to the card. Metal Detector's basically dead. 3 mana 3/2. Death Rattle get a coin. You only get 1 coin instead of 2 now. Next up we have a much needed change. Escape the Underfell is now reverted. Back to play 6, and the reward also goes to 5 mana again. So yeah, Quest Warlock is now dead again. It was really powerful when it was at 5 and 3 mana for the reward, but now it's dead again. It was dead when it launched. They buffed it, it became meta, now it's dead again. Alright, next up we have Ultralisk Cavern, which goes from 3 mana to 4 mana. I mean, it's a really powerful card. I've used this in plenty of my Control Warlock decks, and it's always powerful when I play it. Now it's going to be less powerful. The nerf is pretty substantial on the card. It's not going to feel as good to play. Oh, a really good change here. Malchezaar's Imp goes from 1 mana to 2. That's a huge change. Malchezaar's Imp should have been 2 mana to begin with. It should have been 2 mana way back when Karazhan launched. I don't know how they... Well, Discard Warlock was never good. For the longest time it was never good. In Standard it was never good. It wasn't good until Wild. Until it rotated to Wild. And they made all these discard cards. In fact, there was like a meme going around at one point where Blizzard just kept making discard cards and they never worked, right? People just thought they were useless. And then in Wild, now it's the best deck. So, it turns out if you print enough of one type of card, it becomes meta eventually. Next up we have Chemical Spill, which goes to 5 to 6 mana. Pretty big change there. It's mainly used for Tortola. You play a Chemical Spill, you summon your Tortola, and you win the game, right? Sometimes you win the game. Against aggro, you win the game. Against control, it doesn't matter. Control players can just ignore the Tortola. Because I'm a control player, I just ignore it. I pretend it doesn't exist. And I deal with it later. But aggro players, if they don't have silence, they just get crushed by Tortola. So it needed to be changed. Because here's the thing, I'll defend, like, I have no problems with aggro. I've never had an issue with aggro, ever. I don't like when aggro players get shut down by one card. I don't think that's right. I don't think one card should single-handedly beat aggro, in my opinion. So that's a good change. I like that change. Even though I don't play aggro, I don't want to see aggro lose to one card, you know. It's just not fair, you know. Just like I don't like to lose to one card combo decks or whatever the case may be. I don't like to lose to combo decks as a control player. So that means I'm not going to be a hypocrite and be like, I want aggro to lose the one card. No, I don't want aggro to lose the one card. Of course I don't want that. Next up we have Testing Dummy, which is now dead and no longer goes face, so no one will play this card anymore. Because as soon as they remove the face damage off a card, it becomes dead. People only play cards that go face. That's a sad state of Hearthstone. And it's why the game has gotten worse significantly over the years. Because people don't want to play cards. People don't want to play control. And control is slowly going downhill, basically. And I said the other day, like, control doesn't exist in current Hearthstone because every time someone makes a control deck, they add a win condition to it. If you add a win condition to a control deck, it's not a control deck anymore. Once you add a win condition to your control deck, you are now playing a combo deck. You're not playing control anymore. And I will stand by that statement 100%. As soon as you add an OTK to your combo deck, you are no longer a control deck. Or, as soon as you add an OTK to your control deck, you are no longer a control deck. You are a combo deck. And I don't care what anybody says, that's 100% fact. And in my opinion, control decks should not be able to do 30 damage. So that means I should not be able to do 30 damage. So I'm not just being like, I can OTK, but you can't. No. No control player should be able to OTK. Including myself. And I don't add win conditions to my decks, so my control decks are legit. And no, I don't consider Kill Jaden a win condition. So if you have Kill Jaden in your control decks, fine. That's fine. Because Kill Jaden doesn't do 30 damage. So that's my final statement on that. I'm never going to say that again. Because I'm sick of saying that. But that's my final take. If you add a OTK to your control deck, you are a combo deck. So stop saying control. All I want is control to come back. That's it. That's all I care about. And this is a pretty good balance change, in my opinion. Next up we have Firac, which goes to 10 mana and only casts 15 mana worth of spells instead of 20. So that's a pretty substantial nerf to Firac. Double nerf, 2 nerfs. So that's pretty good. I think it needed that change too. I think this is the correct change for Firac. It's too swingy of a card. Like, you could be losing, you play your Firac, and then you're winning all of a sudden. That's how it could be sometimes. Next up we have Ancient of Yore, which instead of giving 5 armor each turn, you get 3. So you could lose 2 armor. So instead of gaining 10 armor, you gain 6. But you still draw 2 cards. I think the card is dead. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say the card is dead. Next up we have Arcanite Defense Crystal, the final change. It no longer has taunt. So the card is dead, basically. They literally killed it. There's no the way this card sees play anymore. It's dead. Literally dead. Taking off that keyword taunt literally killed the card. And I'm kind of happy about it, honestly, because I'm tired of running it in like a lot of my decks and stuff. Just to survive OTKs. If there's less OTKs in the meta, then I don't need this card anymore. I don't need Ancient of Yore anymore. You know, and that's a good thing. I shouldn't have to run Dirty Rat in all my decks. I shouldn't have to run Arcanite Defense Crystal in all my decks. I shouldn't have to run Ancient of Yore in all my decks. I should be able to win without those cards. And if there's less OTKs in the meta, I will be able to win without those cards. So